Okay, so I want to talk about my Corvette. I did record a little bit already, but after playing it back, I sounded like I was completely obsessed and crazy, which I still think I am. So the red Corvette, I had it about a year. It started to have a few electronics problems. There was one thing that always had a problem, and it didn't really bother me too much because I'd never had the real complex electronics in a car before. But it was, you had two key fobs. You could set one key fob separate to the other, which sounds like a really good idea. If I had a key fob and I gave one to somebody else, when I put mine in the car or I keep it in my pocket, the steering wheel would adjust, the seat would adjust, the mirrors, it would even change the radio station, and it would change the dash, however I configure the dash, which is really cool. The trick is it never worked half the time. And it also had this really cool feature that when you turn the car off and you open the door, as soon as you touch the door, the seat would retract to the full position, the steering wheel would go up, obviously everything turns off, which again is a real cool feature. Well, that would work every time, but it would never go back to the regular position. So it was kind of frustrating, but you go, hey, you know, I'm gonna deal with it. I like the car. So, you know, the quirks I can deal with. Well, then it started to have other problems, stability track issues, various codes. Power steering would sometimes just turn off and it was an electronic issue. And it wasn't something that I could fix. We don't have the software. And most of the new cars, it talks on a communication board. By the way, I'm using a supplement recorder. I gotta get a clip. I'm gonna put it on my belt somewhere. In the meantime, I'm gonna hold it because I tend to drop stuff. So I'm gonna hold it, so don't be distracted by this. The microphone's under my shirt. Most of the cars you replace modules because it talks on a communication network. If one of the things goes down, it's typically one of the modules. Well, you saw my story about taking it to the dealership. Well, I had Esther take it to a different dealership to basically take me out of the scenario because I knew I'd be paranoid the whole time. And they went extra lengths to make sure that the car didn't get damaged. Well, it kind of did get damaged. It got some scrapes on it, some scuffs. Somebody cleaned the fender with what looks like an old shoe. You know, they've got some handprints on it, so let's go ahead and fix that. We'll go all the way down the fender with a shoe and put scuffs down it. So it was to a point where when something goes wrong, when 5 things go on after it, it starts to make you second guess the whole thing. Not to mention a massive monthly payment coming in to remind you. Once the negatives outweigh the positive, you start losing the love for the whole thing. So without going too much into that, I didn't want to have the feeling of stuck with the dealership. Everything that goes wrong, back to the dealer. And again, I don't want to say every dealer is bad because they're not. But it only takes one bad dealer to put that bad taste in your mouth, especially when you're OCD like I am. And most of you are the car guys. If you're a car guy, you're into your car. You keep the car clean, you know everything about it. You know everything, you know every scratch, every chip. If it's just a regular vehicle, like the one that just went by, it's just a car. It doesn't really matter. As long as when you turn the key, it starts, that's good enough. It does its job. Well, most of those guys that don't notice, I do. And most of you guys do too. It's the exact same scenario. It's OCD. It's not OCD, it just means you're really passionate about your car. Well, while this was going on, I decided I want to go back to the C6 model. Everything's electronic, but much simpler, a little bit less money. I decided I had a C6 Z06. I started looking for a ZR1, which you can see the one behind me. This is the new car. After 2 months of searching, I narrowed it down to about 4 in the country. The one I ended up with was behind me. It's a 2013. I wanted the ZR1, I wanted white. Some of the key parts I wanted to make sure it had, if not I would change, is I wanted the black headlights. The color-coded headlights I was never really a fan of. I wanted the black headlights. If I could get black interior was a must. Blue stitching was kind of like a bonus. I wanted that. The ZR1s come with blue calipers. They have some blue under the hood. To have the blue stitching, that's icing on the cake. That was exactly what I was looking for. Well, a quick tip, when you're looking for a car, don't try and find one in your backyard. You're limiting your search. Look over the whole country. You'll either get exactly what you want, or you might even save $1,000, $2,000, which more than pays for the day off work and the time to go see it. So I narrowed it down between this one. There was one in Georgia and one in California. This was the lowest mileage one, and it checked all the boxes. Blue stitching, it's the 60th anniversary, which was the special year, and 5,000 miles, and it was owned by a owner of a car dealership. You might follow me on Instagram, see the pictures of the car. It was at a Toyota dealership. It was in Virginia, so I called them, put a deposit on the car, said if it's everything it is, I'll buy it. Flew to Virginia, checked the car out, drove it. It was freezing cold, by the way. I got there, it was 35 degrees. I left here, it was 83. Got there, 35 degrees, freezing cold. So I spent most of the morning shivering. Checked the car out. They took me back to the airport, spent the rest of the afternoon trying to get home. They helped me arrange transportation. I'll put his link in there, but the guy that brought this thing, enclosed trailer, he only carries 2 cars. Really good job taking care of the car. He even changed his shoes to get in the car. You know, he puts a different set of shoes in, moves the car, puts his regular shoes in. That's the guy for me. If you're changing your shoes, you're my guy. That's who I want moving the car. Put the straps over the tires, nothing touches the car. Great guy. I'll put that link in there because he definitely needs the advertisement, because he's one guy, one truck, one trailer, exactly what you want. So let me go ahead and show you around the car, and I'm going to make this kind of like an ongoing series to show you what I'm going to do. It's kind of funny, I'm going to put 2 cars side by side, but you see we do a lot of S2000s here. Well, the newer Corvette, when I say newer, C6, C7. I'm not a big fan of the C5. First off, I'm not a Corvette guy, which Corvette guys tend to just like anything Corvette. If you put Corvette in a coffee mug, he likes it. That's the coffee mug. I'm not that guy. I'm a car guy. I don't care if it's a Honda, Toyota, Chevrolet, Ford. If it's a good car, it's a good car. Don't be brand specific. You're limiting yourself. That's like saying you only like blue. Well, you can't wear blue. Well, I can. So let me show you around the car a little bit, and I'm going to kind of go over the modifications. This is kind of like a natural progression from an S2000. That's where I was trying to go with my comments. It feels very much like an S2000. When you sit in the car, the driving position, the controls, they all relatively lay out the same. Like I say, I have a nice yellow car in there. I'm going to put side by side and kind of go over some of the similarities. I was never a Corvette guy until a friend of mine basically bought a C6 and said, you gotta drive this. And the car had a lot of miles on it, and he convinced me to go for a drive. Well, after that, I was hooked. We went for a drive, ended up at the Subway. While I'm eating my sandwich, I've got my phone out, Auto Trader, Corvette, 2005 to 2000, you know, like we do. Gotta find one, gotta have it. So that's where my Corvette love started. And again, the newer Corvettes, the old ones, I don't like the whole door shaking and the door panel falling off and the dash separating, and I don't know, I'm not that into them. C6 and up, yes. So let me go ahead and show you around the ZR1, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. Okay, so the car is of course white. It's called Arctic White. That was the color I was choosing, or that was what I was looking for. The ZR1 has carbon ceramic brakes, which provided you don't overheat them, they'll last forever. If they do overheat, if you damage them, it's cheaper to buy a house and replace the brakes. So I have heard. The ZR1 is based on the C6. They have the real carbon roof, and this is called the Halo. It's real carbon, and it has a pretty expensive clear coat that GM, I guess, developed for this. ZR1 has a little bit different fenders. It has the 2 scoops that are a little bit larger as opposed to the thin one. The window here. And again, I'm not a Corvette guy, so I can tell you, when this first came out, I kind of thought it was kind of goofy. You know, like, why do you need a window in the hood to see what's under the... Of course, now I have one. I'm like every other guy, I defend it. I think it's the best thing in the world. I think everything should have a hole in the hood with something sticking out. Comes with a carbon fiber splitter on the ZR1. Again, the black headlights look so much better. The side skirts are carbon fiber. They typically have a white spoiler here. This is usually a smaller white one. They upgraded to this one. I believe it was an option for the ZR1, and it's real carbon fiber. I would have never bought that because I'm not a big carbon fiber guy, but if the OEM manufacturers do it, it usually ends up fitting better, looks better, and it's better quality. So the interiors, and this was a big thing A lot of people used to complain about the C6 and the interior is kind of lame. Well, I came from Hondas, so to me, the interior was actually good. Well, this is the 3ZR, so it has, basically the dash is leather. This is leather down here, the door panels are leather. And of course, this is the blue stitching. I don't know well it's shown out on camera, but that was something I really wanted. I really like it because it kind of ties the whole thing together. The ZR1 embossed on the seats. It's got leather stitching here, blue stitching on the steering wheel, blue stitching here, the Corvette embroidered in the dash, and it's got the double din. That isn't really anything special. I don't think it does anything but play a radio. This is the 3ZR, so there is the magnetic ride, which is controlled by here. One thing I am not going to miss is the push button e-brake. It sounds like a really good idea, but it was pretty finicky. What you'd have to do is hold your foot on the brake, push the little button down, wait for several seconds for the e-brake to release. If you took your foot off the brake too quick, it would just apply it back on again, which, like I say, was pretty frustrating. So I'm not going to miss that. Having that, pull that up, e-brake works, much simpler. Difference between the 2011s and the 12 and 13s, the steering wheel was better. On the 12 and 13, it has the bumps here. This is black. Also, the seats are much improved on the 12 and 13s. This is, again, my second Z06, the C6. I actually changed these seats over. This is the Alcantara. I did these seats, but I did it with red stitching because my car was red. But these are the 13 seats. It's got the shoulder. They're much better quality. They look much better too. So this car has a little over 5,000 miles. Let me show you under the hood here. Very good condition. I found one with 2,000 miles in California, but the thing that threw me off, it had blue interior. And I was trying to like it, but the more I looked at white with blue, I just didn't like it. So this has a little over 5,000 miles. The only thing that the owner did, there's two modifications. One is he put long tube headers on, which makes these things sound fantastic. They're American racing headers. That's a bonus because I was going to do that anyway. The other thing, I don't know if it's going to come out in here, he put clear bra on the front, and it also has it, I don't know if it's going to stand out, has it around here. You can almost see that where like a little chip is. It's actually in the clear bra. Well, and again, someone's going to tell me I'm wrong here. This is kind of like the, yes, it protects the paint, it keeps it nice for the next guy. Well, I'm the next guy. I don't like it. I can see the difference. It might not show up on camera, but it was put on when the car was new, so it's changed color. And it might not be the real expensive coating. There's some really expensive ones now. So it doesn't look good to me. I don't like it. So you might hate me, but you know what? I'd rather have the paint looking the way I want it with a couple of small rock chips. And then if it really bothers me, I can have it touched up or repainted. But for right now, looking at, I don't like it. So the first part of this segment is going to be me removing that clear bra. So the car's been sitting in the sun for about 2 hours, and I did that purposely to hopefully soften that coating, and it will come off. It's almost like a thick tape. I want to bring my little handy seat over here and start working on it and see how well it comes off. So the next guy that got mine, when I sold it, it had 1,680 miles on it. So this stuff is thick. What's good is it doesn't look like a different color. It might look brighter here. I did this with my yellow S2000. I bought a yellow S2000 in 2009. Same thing, the guy had the clear on it. The first thing I did is pull it off, and then the car looked like brand new. So again, I'm gonna get people tell me you should leave it on, it keeps it mint. I don't like the look of it. Look, it's a different color. Makes the paint look a different color. It drives me nuts. I'd rather look at a small chip than a front section the wrong color. By the way, Adam sent me some rollers for this, which, thank you, by the way, they're fantastic. I just don't think I should sit on it with the rollers. I'll probably break the rollers off. You know, they're designed to hold 2 gallons of water, not however many gallons I am. This stuff is on there pretty good. So I want to go ahead and talk about it while I'm doing this. Do I remind you of anybody, by the way? Imagine if I had a little hose and I go and I start talking about chemicals. Do you know what I'm talking about? He's a good guy. I'm not making fun of him. I share a lot of similarities with Matt. That's what I'm talking about, by the way. That's, I'll tell you what I found with car guys. Again, here's a little PSA by me. I used to dyno at a shop before I owned our own dyno, and it was prominently domestic cars there, so we used to call them V8 guys. Well, I used to take a Honda over there, not the owner, but the people around. Ah, bring the Honda. What do you think it's going to make? 150 horsepower? And you was always having to make excuses. You was always having to, you know, quote ridiculous numbers. Well, the fastest car runs this, and this car should make. But you shouldn't have to do that, you know? And that used to really irk me. Well, I'm not a V8 guy. I'm a car guy. I own this V8. My truck's a V8. The S2000 over there I own is a 4-cylinder. I have a 3-cylinder Insight, and I have a 4-cylinder K-Sight. I also have a 1-cylinder Honda pressure washer. You know, does it really matter? So, I guess my point is, enjoy cars and enjoy the people that own cars. I've never ran into a car guy that I haven't had a lot in common with. I mean, I meet people in Vegas. I get people coming here from different states. I've had people from different countries that said, hey, I was close by, I want to come by and say hi, which is fantastic. It really is. But my point is, you share a passion, you get along. Now, I can't say the same for motorcycle guys, because it seems like when they're all together, they kind of have their own thing. But most of the motorcycle guys own cars too. And I usually get along with most of those, but again, I can't say because I don't know that many of them. I used to own motorcycles in England. You know what I'm scared of doing this, by the way? You know I'm kind of gingerly doing it? Imagine giving it a big pull and then the whole white paint comes off and it's like carbon fiber underneath. You know how bad that would suck? I'd be mortified. So here I am kind of gingerly pulling it off. I don't know if that's possible, but that would really suck. So now if this whole video is me pulling this clear stuff off, this is going to be a long, boring video. You guys will probably tune out. But the people that will stay tuned, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm going to do this section here. I want to talk about it a little bit more. I'm going to show you the comparison. Yeah, like this is like, I mean, it's transparent, but obviously over time it's got yellow, but it's protected the paint. It's kept it nice for the next guy. I'm the next guy. It's kept it nice for me. So there's the rest of the bumper, the other fender, the hood. There's a piece back there, but let me bring that camera over and throw this in the garbage can. Again, I'm looking through the viewfinder, but this is very yellow compared to this. And now I've took it off. Look how bright white that is. This car is fantastic, by the way. I'm absolutely in love with this car. I wanted one of these cars when it came out, but they stickered for like $130,000. Whereas my C7 stickered for like 96 or something. I didn't pay nowhere near 96 because there's all kinds of deals on those cars. And you can negotiate and get all kinds of money off. Especially if you acquire your own financing. If you get your financing first, That way you're literally walking in with cash. You go, listen, I have the money. What can we do? That way they're not worried about something going wrong and the financing falling through. You bring them a check. The check is good. It sits on that rubber. I'm going to have to open the hood. Okay, it's all done. The fenders wasn't too bad. The hood took the longest because it was a big flat panel. These were almost in small sections. Let's see if I can get the light. They only left a little bit of residue. It wasn't bad at all. But the paint is absolutely fantastic underneath. It makes me so happy. This paint is something that's out of my control. So I believe it was put on when he first bought the car, and the car is a 2013, so it's 2018 now, so it hasn't really had any weather, and it's been inside a lot. So yeah, look at that. And then the side pieces, I took those off over the rear scoops. There is a small piece down here. I left that on. I might end up taking it off if it bothers me. I got to see about detailing it now. I want to have someone do a full paint correction and ceramic coat before I do anything else. And also I've got to tint the windows. Let me put the windows up, I'll show you what I mean. So the glass is actually factory tinted a little bit, but because of the black on the wheels and the roof, see, it would look better with the windows tinted, especially when you do that and you can see right through it. I don't want them tinted black, but maybe like a 20% tint. I use Tran, the same guy that's done all of my cars since like 93. I'll take a picture of it when it's there. In fact, I'll do a little bit of a special, because if I got a Corvette audience, if you guys are interested in this, maybe you'll tune in for all of it, and I'll show you all the little knickknacks that I do, right down to the window tint, the paint correction, the dyno, and then the modifications that I do.